Hello friends! In this video, we're going to talk about limits and continuity, but specifically for trigonometric functions like sine, cosine, and tangent. Now, you've probably already studied limits and continuity for regular polynomial functions. Trig functions follow the same rules, but they have one twist that catches students off guard, and that's exactly what we'll unpack today. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which trig functions are continuous everywhere, which ones break at certain points, and you'll understand the most famous trig limit in all of calculus. Let's get into it. Before we jump into trig, let's quickly refresh two ideas. A limit is just the value a function is heading toward as x gets closer and closer to some point. Notice, it's about where the function is going, not necessarily where it lands. Continuous means the function has no gaps, no jumps, no holes. You can draw the entire curve without lifting your pen off the paper. That's it. Think of it like scrolling through a video on YouTube. If the playback is smooth from start to finish, that's continuous. If it freezes or skips ahead, that's a discontinuity. Same idea, just with math. Alright, with that out of the way, let's see how sine and cosine behave. Alright, let's start with the good news. Sine and cosine. These two are the most well-behaved trig functions you'll ever meet. Look at their graphs. They flow smoothly from negative infinity to positive infinity, going up and down forever but never jumping, never breaking, never leaving a gap behind. What this means in plain English, sine and cosine are continuous everywhere. At every single real number you can think of, the limit of sine of x equals sine of a, and the limit of cosine of x equals cosine of a. So if someone asks you, what's the limit of sine x as x approaches pi over 4, you don't need any tricks. Just plug pi over 4 into sine, and you have your answer. Same with cosine. Direct substitution works every time. Pretty simple, right? But now things get interesting when we move to tangent. Now look at this. This is the graph of tan x, and you can immediately see something is very different here. The curve doesn't flow smoothly across the whole number line. Instead, it shoots up to infinity, disappears, and then reappears on the other side. These vertical dashed lines are called asymptotes, places where the function completely breaks down. So why does this happen? Here's the secret. Tangent is not really its own thing. It's just sine divided by cosine. And whenever cosine of x equals 0, you're dividing by 0, which is undefined. The function simply has no value there. Cosine hits 0 at pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, negative pi over 2, and so on. Basically every odd multiple of pi over 2. At each of those x values, tangent is discontinuous. Everywhere else, though, tangent is perfectly continuous. So if you're asked for the limit of tan x as x approaches pi over 4, direct substitution still works, because pi over 4 is not a problem point. Now the same logic applies to the other three trig functions. Let's quickly look at where they break. Here's a quick summary table of all four remaining trig functions. Tangent and secant. Both of these have cosine in the denominator, so they break wherever cosine equals 0. That's at pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 2, and so on. Cotangent and cosecant. These two have sine in the denominator, so they break wherever sine equals 0. That's at 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and so on. Notice the pattern. None of these four functions are actually new mysteries. They're all built from sine and cosine. Wherever the denominator hits 0, the function falls apart. Everywhere else, it's smooth and continuous. So here's the rule of thumb. To find the limit of any trig function at a point, first check, is the denominator 0 at that point? If no, just plug the value in. Direct substitution gives you the answer. But what happens when direct substitution does fail? When you get 0 divided by 0. That's where the most famous trig limit in calculus comes in. Alright, this one right here is the most famous limit in all of calculus. The limit of sine x divided by x, as x approaches 0, equals 1. Now, why is this such a big deal? Look at what happens if you try direct substitution. Plug in 0, you get sine 0 over 0, which is 0 over 0. That's undefined. The function literally has a hole at x equals 0. But here's the magic. Even though the function isn't defined at 0, the limit absolutely exists. As x gets closer and closer to 0 from either side, sine of x over x gets closer and closer to 1. You can see it on the graph. The curve smoothly approaches y equals 1, with just a tiny hole punched out at the center. This result isn't just a fun fact. It's the foundation that's used to derive the derivative of sine and cosine in the first place. Without this limit, half of calculus wouldn't exist. And there's a close cousin you should remember too. The limit of 1 minus cos x divided by x, as x approaches 0, equals 0. These two limits show up again and again whenever you're solving harder trig problems. Let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. Alright, let's quickly recap what we covered. 1. Sine and cosine are continuous at every real number. No exceptions, no breaks. Direct substitution always works. 2. Tangent, secant, cotangent, and cosecant are not continuous everywhere. They break wherever their denominator becomes 0. Tangent and secant break at odd multiples of pi over 2. Cotangent and cosecant break at integer multiples of pi. 3. When direct substitution gives you 0 over 0, that's not a dead end. That's your signal to use the famous trig limits. 4. Keep these two formulas locked in your memory. The limit of sine of x over x equals 1, and the limit of 1 minus cos of x over x equals 0, both as x approaches 0. These two will save you in countless problems ahead. If this video helped you understand limits and continuity of trig functions, hit that like button and subscribe to Webronaq for more calculus and programming videos. I'll see you in the next one.